Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining me. I'm Alan Cook, the proud owner of the Medion, and it is the newest painting out there by Leonardo da Vinci. This is the Mona Lisa. And this is the X-ray that's out of my painting of the Mona Lisa. And if I can find my painting, which I have plenty, it's taken me all morning just to do this for you. Let me just show it to you. Here it is. And this is the Medion. It is the greatest duet painting on the planet. It is the older Mona Lisa. So let's get on with this and show you how my painting, the X-ray, is in the Last Supper in many different ways. If I take this and I overlay the 5 in different areas, it comes out with Jesus Christ. If you look at the 5 that's written in the eye of of Jesus, and you overlay this, whoops, it won't do it because I bumped it. Sorry. Mistakes happen. Try not to make too many. Don't make me look good, does it? You overlay it, the 5 fits right exactly over the eye. If you take a look, you'll see this line that runs on down. It's the center of Jesus's line here. And my belief is that he allows Jesus to keep being bigger and bigger and bigger. In the hand here is a 5 and an S look. 5s and S's look the same. And in general. So you reline this back up and you look at the S in the hand here. I don't know how well you're coming out there. And you can see that there is a S here in the lightness of the X-ray. I don't know if you can see that, but he does put an awful lot of S's, and that's actually he's spelling out Sali. So I put this back, and you can see how there's Sali written in here. S-A-L-A-I. He's the man who lived with Leonardo and was his model. So here it goes. We're going to go back up. We're going to show you where the S is. Now the S is many places in the Last Supper. You can see the S here. I pull this down. You can see the S bleeding through. You can see the S bleeding through up here. You can see it bleeding over here. It gets really good. This really gets good if you want to really learn about his tricks. If you take a look at the face that goes across here, he has this house. Yes, he puts these houses. If you see a house with the pyramids, he's got them up here. These are houses across here. Here's a big letter 3 and a 5. But when you reverse this, you can see how they fit and they move back and forth because these people in the Last Supper, his disciples, move back and forth. They don't sit still. When you're looking at it, they do not sit still. Okay, so let me continue. This is his hidden works. Okay, let me continue to show you what happens on some other issues here. When it's raised, you see how his doily of his top of his beautiful suit lies below, okay, lies below, But when you shift this down, because again I told you it makes it move up and down, it matches in the same angle as her, Mary. And he uses the same angles to float of movement. So in other words, he will shift back, because you can see how he shifts back. You can see the circles. So he shifts forward. You can see him come forward. Here's part of his body, of his head. He moves forward and he moves back. So in the Last Supper, you see these heads of shadows. Those are the movements. I know it sounds wild, but it's going to get really good. That's if you're a believer. You got to be a believer now. Okay. If I put the 5 in the opposite eye, you can see the face of the snake, how it fits right into its cloak. And then when I put the 5 on the other eye, you can see how the face begins in the hand. The hand fits right here. It's in. Okay. Well, when you actually get to looking at my Statue of Liberty right here, and you pull it down, I have to move this up because remember it shifted. So I pull that down and I slide this over, and we're going to have to do it in reverse because it comes out different. Okay, you follow it down and you see the statue and you see the pointy hemmed hat, which stands for like a diva, gay person. That's what he was. And if you look, you can see, here it is, and you can see the pointy hat. So here and here, right underneath here, right underneath here, you can see the point bleeding through of the pointy hat, and under here you can see the Statue of Liberty trying to bleed through with the handsome man aiming the other way of my picture. Now I'm going to take this down, and I'm going to go over and shift this over so I can get to edit, not edit, image. I go to adjustment and I go back to invert. Now I go back up here and I play the same game, but I think I do it in reverse. Let me see. Yeah, I do it in reverse. Okay, so what I do is move this so I can grab it. And then I go up with it. You see this square here? Turns into like an overlay. Here it is here. It generally fits in that area. Okay. So again, here's the hand. It's not coming out too good on this. Maybe I got it in reverse again. Let's see here. Been spending hours on it and had a slight little interruption. Maybe this goes reverse so for better sight for you. Yeah, it goes in reverse. That's easier, huh? Some of the layers don't protrude over the black, see? So my mistake. I was right the first time. Told you I don't like to make mistakes. Okay, so you aim him over the head of the 5, and if you take a look, here's another 5 of his marking for distance. So he has a marking here, he has a marking here. You can see the 5s bleeding through in his dots, like follow the dots. You can see his stone in the center of his chest. You're going to see, you can see the outline of a crisscross person that's in here without the invert, and you'll see a grabbing of the hand. So see his fingers, see his fingers here. Now look at this. That's where they grab. Okay? He moves them to grab. He starts out here and he swings them in. So he's got his fingers open, and he closes them. So he's actually moving in the Last Supper. If you take a look, you see this round looking elephant with a round tuba. This is like a round tuba with legs, and there's a rider on it with a big head like an elephant with a tuba. And when you put this up here with the match of everything else in which I was saying of the movement, if you take a look at his sleeve, there's the tuba, and here's the outline in shadow of the elephant. Okay, then on top of that, if you take a look, I'm going to invert this again. Oh boy. Because the invert will show up what's in the window that I need to show you. Do you see the hand? That is a finger, a smaller finger, a smaller finger. It's a hand aiming up. I should have showed it to you before. If you take the movement of the hand and you see the curve, you can see the curve here, and there's the hand. So when you get it in the particular area of his movement, he lets you know where it fits. Leonardo da Vinci actually steps it out for you like 1, 2, 3 ABCs, but it's not that easy. But it's to him it is, because he knows the system. It took me a long time to know this system. So if you see how the circle of Jesus here, it rides in this circle, you can see how the S is blowing through in it also. Okay, so micro dots difference, it may be 1 or 2 degrees, I could easily be off just in size. He's that technical. But when one person, this is what's taken me a long time, when one person sees this exact image such as this, well, there's hundreds of layers of X-ray, and out of that hundreds of X-rays, you have to catch the right one for it to be that way into this way. It's different depths, and out of those different depths you will end up, this is a white, and then you can see the lighter brown, then you see the lighter more brown, then you see a lighter and a lighter, and then it starts to get more darker. So when you put, if you take a look, when we put Jesus back up here, here's another spot for you to see, and we mark him approximately here. Okay, you'll see this gentleman, which is a two-faced gentleman that looks like one from a distance. You can see this looks like a mushroom in some sort if you really look at it, and you can see this looks somewhere like a mushroom, but they distorted it, but you can see that it fits in the mushroom, and it's actually Sali, is my belief. And again, we got the marking of the pointy him and hat, we got the marking of the Statue of Liberty, we got the marking of Jesus in different areas in which he makes the Last Supper move. Okay, so when you, if you want, watch this. You see this gentleman talking to Mary. He's not only, she sits upright more in this, you can see the tilt of her here. She's up here, and then she bends her head down. That means if she straightened her head, it'd be up here. Okay, so he lets you know where she was in certain areas for you to follow. If you take a look, you can see this gentleman's face right here. Here he is. And he slightly moves, not to a great deal, but you can tell that she actually, you know, ended up moving closer to him because this part of the head tilted just a hair a little more. If you take a look at Judas with the bag of 30 pieces of silver, you can tell this is not him because of his face yet, but if you take a look, his face floats through this way, okay? He floats through this way that he overlaid. So he's a very, very tricky guy. Now, when you end up with this back over here, okay, when you end up with this back over here and you pull it back down, you can see this face with an eye and an eye and these fluffy hairs. Okay? You pull this back down and you can see the eye and the fluffy hairs. You can see this long body. You can see this long body. See the long body right here too? So he gives this movement of the same body, because here it is. This is the longer piece of the body. Here's the shorter piece of the body. Longer piece of the body, shorter piece of the body. Longer piece of the body, shorter piece of the body. There are so many pieces that match up in my painting of Leonardo da Vinci. If you go to this side and you get into it, you can see how his hand and his arm would go here. Watch. You hold it here, his hand, you pull it down, you can see his arm. Here's his arm. That's his arm. 100% fit. Certain things, okay, come clear to see. They're supposed to. Some are not, because he uses like invisible ink, but it's invisible paint, or he uses transparency, or he uses lighter paint, or that's where the ABC 1, 2, 3 comes into my YouTubes. If you pull this back and you can see how this hand would be in here, you see this gentleman, okay, so this hand is here, so you have a skip of the guy right here, and then you have this guy right here. So this guy's right here, we pull this over, there he is. He's right there. You got this much movement. It's real hard to shift. So, okay, so here he is. He's got the finger. Here's the long finger, and it should float all the way through here. But here's the main finger, and you can see a line difference that he does. And his finger ain't going to go straight across, but he does give a line direction, because when he goes to move his hand, it's going to move in a float, right? Okay, so it's just like TV. It's just like doing cartoons or watching the funny pages. When I take this and I move this, and I'm going to slide the other one over so you can see a little more connection, what I haven't done yet. We're going to see together what else, which I haven't had a chance to do. Let's see if it makes me look good or bad. Okay. Okay. Here is a shadow of this gentleman. And then when you pull this down, you can see the same angle cut of the shadow. If you look at his hand here, that's where his hand is. It's exactly there. It's taken me 7 years at least to learn this trick. Now actually it can go up more, just a hair, and it can go down more. So he's got this guy moving, and you can see how much he moves by the shadow of the darkness of Leo. That's Leo, not me. I'm only the messenger. Okay? So with that in mind, if you see all these dots and roundness, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right there, there may be the same down in here, but I don't know why that would be necessary, but it might have been his lineup point. I was just guessing. It might be in another, it may be in another x-ray of a different layer of shot. But I want to try one more thing just before we leave. I want to re-invert this. I want to go up here and see how well. See, he changes this man's, look at this. You see this hand? This is a little, watch. He changes it into a little person. That fist is a person, okay, because it comes on down as a body. There's a lot, artists do that. They do the same thing with their sculptures. In his sculptures, he has the same thing in his art that he interprets. Call any art gallery. They're going to ask them, do artists, when they paint something and they're really good, do they turn around and would they put that same similar stylist into their sculpture? And you probably couldn't count to one before you say absolutely.